So here we are again on board the Boeing 777 of EVA Air in business class, the same plane that brought us in the morning already from Taipei to Bangkok. That was a flight that I had a bit mixed feelings about, because actually the seat looks quite old-fashioned also, although the plane is only 7 years old. So that was a little strange somehow. Service was good, not outrageously good, it was just good. Not that I would say this is one of the top airlines, but nice. And then food and beverages were also good quality. They have the famous champagne here that normally you would only get in first class. I mean, on a level that you normally expect in first class only. So that was all quite nice. However, it was not an amazing experience. Now we're going on the long haul, and I'm really curious how it's going to be like, because now I have already a much better feeling. There's, nice amenities now, and some of the crew is a little more kind of proactive, I have a feeling, but maybe I'm wrong. We will see. The cabin is also completely fully booked. Every seat is taken. So I'm really curious now. Let's go in 12.5 hours on EVA Boeing 777 in their business class from Bangkok to London.
I'm Chris, a happy frequent flyer since I was a kid. Now as an opera singer and privately, I travel even more, and Travel Sing Fly is all about airlines worldwide in economy, business and first class, presented with a critical but fair attitude. And we also visit worthwhile travel destinations on all continents with lots of helpful tips for better travel. Subscribe now, you won't regret it.
Before the flight was after the flight, because this is a very special flight. This flight number BR67 starts in Taipei, goes to Bangkok, then there's a stop of an hour and a half, almost 2 hours in this case, and then it goes on to London for 12.5 hours, almost 13 hours. So it's a really long flight, and we are having a look at all of it. In between the flights, I went to the lounge, and not only one lounge, but I tried to check out more lounges than just one. The EVA lounge is quite interesting because it's actually better than the one in Taipei, at least much nicer. And also there's the Thai Airways lounge that you can visit. You could also visit the Singapore Airlines Silvercrest lounge. I visited 3 lounges, and now let's have a look at them. After boarding, we got served some welcome drinks. There was a choice, just like on the flight from Taipei to Bangkok, of water, juices or sparkling wine. If you ask what kind of sparkling wine that is, that's what I always do. They have cava before takeoff. I had some sparkling water. Then there was some cold wet towel just to freshen up a little, and then there were already the amenities here on board. First of all, the slippers. So there's some slippers, and then there's the Amenity Kit that was hidden under the pillow so nobody would steal it when they walk by, right? Anyway, this is by Giorgio Armani. Of course, we're going to have a close look at that later. Then there's a pajamas by Jason Wu in different sizes. I took L because that's realistic. And then there's the menus here, the wine and beverage menu and the food menu. They took also the orders already for lunch and also for breakfast. This is actually a flight that ends in the evening, but it starts in the very early morning in Taipei. So in the end, actually, when you arrive in London, almost 19 hours later, it's almost already morning again in Taipei. So that's why they do a kind of a mix of breakfast dinner. A lot to experience, a lot to see, I guess, so I'm curious now. almost reached our cruising altitude, and I already heard some noises from the galley that are quite promising. So I think service is starting very soon. They also close the curtains behind, and that's actually the perfect moment to have a look at the menu now. So first of all, there's not only an hors d'oeuvre, but there's also a prélude, so it's getting very musical here. What it is, I will not tell you, but that's the appetizer before the appetizer. And then we have as appetizer also something that I will just show you later. And then there's soup and salad, and then there's a choice of 3 different main courses: chicken, prawns, and beef. You could also select something else before the flight online, for example, vegetarian choices that you could also select before. Then there's cheese platter, fruits, ice cream, dessert, and bread, and coffee and tea, of course. And then on this long flight to London, there's although the arrival is in the evening, we're gonna have some breakfast. Oh, that sounds a little disturbing, maybe even. We have a choice of Chinese or Western breakfast after a nice wake-up drink. Isn't that nice? And of course there's also nice coffee, nice espresso, nice cappuccino, and of course Taiwan is a tea country, so you can also expect quite good teas here.
Before lunch, they handed out tickets for a fast lane upon arrival in London. And now let's take a moment for the Amenity Kit. The EVA Air Business Class Amenity Kit is a 4-leather hardshell pouch branded by Giorgio Armani, and it contains comb and brush, earplugs, toothbrush, hand cream, lip balm and facial spray by Unique, a spectacularly large sleep mask and a small extra pouch. A nice amenity kit and also great for later use.
So it's starting quite promising actually. There was no warm nuts, but we get this here, a prélude. It's getting very musical, very French, and after that comes the hors d'oeuvre. So this is a little amuse-bouche, a little appetizer before the actual appetizer, and that's some tuna and avocado cream and with a very beautiful little flower, and then a scallop, a very nice large scallop on capsicum cream, so that's paprika cream, and some fish roe, that's not caviar, but some fish roe and some gold leaf. Very cute, very, very beautiful actually, it looks really beautiful. And with that I got some mocktail. I asked for the mocktail called Sonata in the Air, so it's staying musical. And then we're having the champagne, that's the 2008 Duval de Roy vintage champagne, Clos de Bouverie. A really very nice champagne. What a nice start. It's dessert time, cheese and dessert time, and look at this, it's a feast. Just to be fair, of course I said that I would like to try as much as possible if everybody is, or when everybody is served already. So once everybody had the full choice, I would love to see if there's still something left, and there was still something left. So we're having some very beautiful ice cream. One looks very exotic. And then there's a cheese plate, 4 kinds of cheese with some chutney. Then there's a very nice cake, cream cake with fruits on top, some berries, and then some Alishan oolong tea. Oolong tea is such a wonderful tea, and Taiwan is actually the region that produces oolong tea. And this one comes from the highest mountain range of Taiwan, the Alishan mountain range. And Taiwan has really very high mountains, so it's really pretty amazing. Anyway, the island is already pretty amazing. And I was just lucky enough to visit Taiwan many times already, actually more than 15 years already. I went there for the first time to sing there a few concerts at the National Concert Hall, and that was repeated in the consecutive years. And back then, 15 years about back, I remember very well I went on EVA Airways or EVA Air in their premium economy class. And this airline was actually the airline that introduced at all the premium economy class, so they were the first ones. And we're gonna have a look later here at the rest of the cabin of this plane. And to be honest, the premium economy class back then, 15 years ago, was way more comfortable than it is now. So anyway, let's enjoy this very beautiful dessert feast. This was some really very nice lunch. I mean, everything from the beginning to the end, every single dish was so good. There were so many varieties, really good taste, very nice to look at. And then the beverages with all these dishes, all really very nice. And then we had this dessert feast, really nice. But now I have to be also good to my stomach, be a good partner to my stomach. And by the way, a very good and reliable travel partner on this trip again is the luggage of Level 8. If you've seen a few reports on my channel already, you know that I've been presenting luggage of Level 8 a few times already. It's my travel partner since almost 2 years already, and I couldn't be happier about it. I've had all the famous and really important, expensive brands so far in my life, in my travel life. To be honest, the items of Level 8 that I own are mostly not only as good as the super famous brands, but even better. So there's of course the aluminum hand luggage that is very nice, and then there's also the checked luggage of that Voyager line that is not only really stunning to look at, but is also very practical with a handle that makes lifting it into a trunk very easy without back problems. And what all these items have in common is the really amazing wheels. I've been using my Level 8 luggage really a lot, and even after 2 years now, the wheels just roll like on the first day, very smooth on any kind of surface, so that's really pretty fantastic. If you're interested, have a look at the video description. There's a link with the discount code where you get all items of Level 8 at a special discount for viewers of Travel Sing Fly. And at the same time, you also support the channel a little bit, because Travel Sing Fly gets a little commission for each item sold, and you, that's most important, get a really great piece of luggage. That I promise.
After lunch service, the cabin was unfortunately dimmed. What more and more airlines do is also common practice here at EVA Air now. Even daytime flights are operated in the dark, and that's especially unfortunate on this route, because outside in perfect weather you could have seen half the globe. Instead, I'm checking out my bed, even if it's not for sleeping, and before that, here's a short lavatory check, also to put on my pajamas. Of course, it's easier to watch TV in the dark, but don't we always do that already? Even though you're allowed to open the window shades at any time, at least in business class, I almost feel bad that I want to experience the impressive live views outside instead of watching TV on the plane yet again. What's your opinion on this topic? Let us know in the comments. The days when the captain would mention something special and beautiful outside, like the Himalayas, the Maldives or Greenland, are largely over. At the same time, it makes not much sense to darken the whole cabin on a westbound daytime flight when it comes to adjusting to a new time zone. For the airlines, however, a dark flight is practical, much less movement in the cabin, and therefore, by the way, much less consumption.
And here I'm back again after many hours in the dark. They just said we're gonna have our breakfast. Actually, we're still on the same day. It's still the same day. We're going into the evening hours now. It's still bright outside, but they dimmed the whole cabin. Everything was dark for hours and hours, so actually I could have taken a night flight as well, right? I wouldn't have seen the outside landscape as well in that case. And that's so sad, because especially between Southeast Asia and Europe, you have a fantastic route. There's so much to see, amazing deserts, the Caucasus mountain range, the Himalaya mountain range, and so many beautiful places. And people kind of prefer to watch a comic movie instead, that you can watch anytime. I know many people don't take travel as something special. I still do, even though I've been traveling this route since my childhood, because my family have been living there since I was a child. Anyway, now stop talking bad about all this, but it's really quite annoying. Now the bed itself is quite nice. There's space around the legs. The blanket is a little too thick, to be honest. It's better actually for the mid-hole. They had a better blanket, not this thick, a little too much. Then on the sides, on this side, it's really too tight. On the left side, therefore, is a lot of space. So if you lie on the side, you should take a right window seat if you normally sleep on your left side, and take a left window seat if you like to sleep on the right side.
EVA Air is also associated with some family drama. EVA Air was founded by the founder of one of the world's largest logistics companies, Evergreen. The aviation-loving son from his second marriage was given control over the airline. After the founder's death, however, he was kicked out of the company in a coup by his 3 half-brothers from the first marriage. And that same year, he founded Starlux Airlines, which is well on its way to becoming one of the best airlines in the world. Many Taiwanese at least say that EVA has suffered greatly from the change in management, and that not much of its heyday remains today, especially in terms of service.
We are still having about an hour and a half until London, where the sun is setting now and the evening is coming in, and that's why we're having breakfast now. That's so logical. I know, of course, in the Far East the sun is getting up very soon, but we're not going to the Far East, but we're coming from the Far East, so we should actually have just dinner now and just get adjusted to London time. And that's why, first of all, I don't understand why it's a dark cabin on this beautiful day flight, because it makes no sense. You should just be adjusted to the next time zone, and then during this time, during these many hours, nobody came through the cabin. Only once within 7 hours between the services, some crew came to the cabin. Otherwise, they were all the time in the galley. Nobody was really proactive. Nobody really asked if you want something. If you wanted something from the list, something to drink, the simplest thing, water even, you needed to ask them. And that is actually not okay. They should not be in economy class and not in premium economy, and for sure not in business class where you pay so much money. And of course, I don't want to ring them all the time. It feels stupid. And of course, people here, they just dehydrate. So if you don't think about it, you just arrive as a prune in London. So much about the great service of EVA Air. That is really very disappointing, because I was really expecting amazing service from a Taiwanese airline that is supposed to be a 5-star airline, and I did not get any service. I mean, of course, they are friendly, to be fair, really friendly, but there's nothing proactively. Everything has to be asked for. That's really not okay. Now, still a few words about breakfast here. I asked for Chinese breakfast. There's also a Western option. So here's some chicken legs or thighs, then some omelette, some mushrooms and cucumber, some prawns and sesame sauce, I think, and some rice. Entertainment. We haven't talked about the entertainment yet here. That is also a point that is not really fantastic, especially not on this plane, on the Boeing 777, with this really old monitor screen. The problem here is once you lie down, you have a certain angle towards the screen. You don't see the full screen anymore. The upper part of the screen blurs out, and you can only imagine what could be there on the monitor, but you don't really see it. And that is really quite the nuisance. However, what is really nice are the headsets. They are really good. They are noise cancelling over ear, so once you put them on, you don't hear so much the noise of the plane anymore, but can really enjoy the sound of your movie or your music. The selection, however, is not really fantastic. I was lucky. I got 3 really nice movies that I enjoyed watching, but it's not a big selection of movies and TV series or also music. That's really very limited. I was just on the Cathay Pacific Aria Business Suite, a really fantastic new seat, and they also have a really very nice entertainment system, which is not one of the biggest in the world, but it is quite big, and it has a really very nice, very well curated selection of movies and films and so on, and TV series. And here it's unfortunately not at all the case. However, when it comes to the monitor screen, if you sit on a Dreamliner 787, Boeing 787, there the monitors are really nice, very nice, crystal clear screen, and not the problem with not seeing half the screen. However, of course, the entertainment program itself is still the same, pretty limited. So, my dear ones, it's more than 12 hours ago that we departed from Bangkok, and now we're descending into London. Now, how was this flight? Especially when it comes to food and beverages, that was really very good, very high quality of ingredients. The presentation was very nice. It was also a very nice variety of food. So from that point of view, really nice. And along with it came the wine list and beverage list. Also there, of course, first of all, the champagne. EVA is known for really good champagne. And then also the wines and all the other drinks and cocktails and mocktails were all really very, very good. However, on such a long flight, there is quite a long pause of 7 hours, and nobody of the crew really appeared here except for once within these 7 hours. That means you have this beautiful list, but nobody will ever offer it to you unless you ring the bell or you go there yourself, because the crew was very, very friendly, each one of them, but they were not proactive. So they were all in the galley, and actually I'm sure that's not the fault of the crew. I'm sure there must be a rule book that says that they're not supposed to offer drinks and something throughout the flight, but maybe just once between the services. And I find that actually not okay. If you say you're a 5-star airline and you really have this very high level, then you should also bring that high level and not just disappear. And another thing was also what annoys me so much, and what is sometimes in fashion, that they dimmed the cabin on a day flight for the whole flight. Now I'm talking about dimming. I might have to put on the light in a moment. Yeah. So dimming down the cabin for the whole flight, that was really not very nice. It's one of the most beautiful routes from Southeast Asia to Europe, and you cannot see it. So I booked a day flight so I can see all this, and I couldn't. And then what also didn't make sense actually to serve breakfast in the evening. We are going to London, we are arriving in the evening. We should adjust to the new time and not get into breakfast time in Asia from where we come from. That also made no sense. Of course, that makes the cabin also dark if you just pretend you're going overnight, which we didn't. A very nice thing is also the Amenity Kit. There was a really nice and decent one by Giorgio Armani, and then the PJs, pajamas. EVA is one of the very few airlines that also gives out pajamas on long-haul flights in business class, so that is also a really nice aspect and makes a whole big difference. When it comes to the seat, this cabin is already quite old. Although the plane is actually not so old, the seat feels a little old. I mean, it's wide, it's comfortable also, but it's a little, you can see it got touched by too many people already for too much. for too long time, and it didn't really get refurbished. And you can just hope that they will exchange this kind of seat very soon. The monitor screen here is actually not okay anymore. It's really not up to date anymore. Once you lie down, you see only half of the monitor screen, the rest is totally blurred, so that's no fun. And also entertainment is not really extensive. I was pretty impressed in a bad way how small the number of movies is, and TV series, I mean almost none. So that was also quite a surprise. If you go on a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, however, you're gonna have a very different seat, very nice, very modern, and of course you can have a look at the channel, and by the time this report comes out, there's already the video out about the Boeing 787 Dreamliner of EVA on a short hop from Hong Kong to Taipei. There you have a really beautiful and crystal clear TV screen. It was a nice flight, but what do you think? Was this really 5 stars? I'm looking forward to your comments. So my dear ones, we've landed at London Heathrow Airport. What an interesting flight. The third part of a little series about EVA Airways on long, mid and short haul flights on the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and the Boeing 777. I hope you enjoyed this report. If yes, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and also write your comments. There's lots of really interesting airline reviews waiting for you, and also destination reports from all continents of the world. And one of these really nice reports will be this one. Check it out right away, and see you there here at Travel Sing Fly.